On today's episode, a mind-blowing story that I heard from one of the other participants here in the Epicurrence Work Week. I think you gotta hear this. Alright, so we are here with Ben Burns from The Futur, which you probably know. You probably are subscribed to The Futur because their channel is like 10 times bigger than mine. If you're not, go check The Futur channel right now because it's got like mind-blowing content for freelancers, creatives in general. And I actually just met Ben here like the other day at the Epicurrence event, and he was like telling me his story about, I want you to tell a story about how you were like doing $50 logo to where you are today. Because honestly, that story, I told you, last night I couldn't sleep. I was thinking about this story because it's such an amazing story. Please, share the people what happened.
Okay, so I started in design. I actually didn't know design was like a career.
Okay.
And in college, it was like, I was just trying to figure things out. I knew I wanted to be creative, but I also sucked at all things fine art. So I couldn't draw. I tried photography for a while, couldn't do that. And I just didn't know where I fit into the equation. And so I saw this ad come up for an internship. And I was like, okay, let me try that. So I show up at this like really cool, high-speed creative agency in a business suit with a tie and no portfolio.
Okay.
And so I sit down and the creative director, her name is Carol Smith, an absolute angel. She she's a hippie from the 60s and she went to Ringling, and so she's like the epitome of everything that's right with the design world. And she was like, let me see your portfolio. And I was like,
What is
that? I don't know what she saw in me that day, but she gave me a shot. She said, come back tomorrow with some examples of your work. So I was like, okay, no problem. So I stayed up all night and I put together like 8 or 10 projects. All of them were horrible. And I walked in the next day with a book and it was printed. And I'm dating myself. This is back in the days where this was like big portfolio books, you know?
Yep, I know them.
So I sat down across from her, I opened it up and I was like flipping through, and the work was horrible, but she saw something in me and she gave me a shot. So I went from being an intern to senior designer there in about 3 years, and I started getting a little cocky, and I was like, let me see what else is out there. So I went ahead and looked for a new job, and I was like, you know what, I need to focus on this. So I quit my job there at that agency, and that just so happened to be, it was 2008. In 2008 in the States,
not a good time to quit your job.
no, immediately after the economy tanked, and I was just like, oh crap, what do I do now? So I did the logical thing and joined the police department.
Okay. It's a good design move.
Yeah, so I completely left the field for a while. I spent about 6 months on the street, joined the military somewhere in there part-time, and grew in my law enforcement career to the point where I was working narcotics. And after receiving a promotion into our major case unit, I was running wiretaps. So we were all, it was a bunch of agents sitting in a room listening to drug dealers talk about drugs.
Yeah, everybody saw The Wire, so
yeah.
They know.
And so, there's sometimes, we have to listen for all night. So sometimes there's really long like periods of time where you're not doing anything. And so instead of like watching movies or, working out, which I should worked out a little bit more, but instead of doing that, I freelanced. And so I jumped on, the classic, I think it was Odesk at that point, and just started grinding it out. I was doing logos for $50 here, $100 there, and somehow, and this is not saying much, somehow I started making more money doing freelancing than I was in my day job. Again, that's not saying much. This is like $30,000 in revenue.
This does not mean that you should do logos for $50,
No,
but you should probably not be, a cop. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. So, I just looked at it. I was like, wow, I am working like 30 hours a week doing logos, and it was an absolute grind. But I'm like, man, I'm making some good money, or what at least I thought was good money at that point. So I quit. I left. I went out on my own. And then the grind kind of got real, right? I was working 18-hour days. My wife and I had just gotten married. I was looking to start a family soon, and it was so tough for me to make ends meet, and still doing $50 logos. My Google search at that point was not how to charge more. I didn't think that you could charge more because I had never been exposed to what real identity work and website work was, like what people actually charge for it. And so my Google search was, how do I get more clients?
Yeah, I know that because most of the people ask in the comments, how do I get more clients?
Yep.
Instead of asking how to charge more
Yep.
from your clients you already have.
Yep. So I was asking the wrong question.
Yeah.
So in 2013, I stumbled across a video, and it was, I think it was This Week in Web Design.
Okay.
And it was a video with Chris Do from the future and Jose Caballer. And I watched this video, and they talked about pricing, and it just blew my mind. And I was just in a state of gratitude. Late one night, I sent Chris a message, and it was a very long, I'm a big dude, but I got a big heart. It was a very long, kind of drawn out, sappy story, and I was just like, listen, man, you were such a bright light in my world at this point. Thank you so much for putting this content out. And the next day, I get a message back from him. And it was like, hey man, great to hear. You want to chat tomorrow? And I was like, you mean like on the phone? Like you want to talk to me? Just total, I was starstruck. And so the next morning we get on the phone and I tell him my story, and I'm like, listen man, I have 53 clients at this point. And each client has multiple, projects going on, and it was a grind. I was like, I need to know how to balance the workload and bring on more clients to charge more. And Chris pauses for a second on the phone, and I'm hearing him just kind of think about things, and he goes, Ben, I don't think I can help you. And I was like, hey, don't worry about it. It's so fine. Thank you so much for talking to me. Just like total starstruck, fangirled out. And he's like, no, I don't think I can help you because you don't have the time to help yourself. And he goes, here's your first assignment. I want you to fire all of your clients. And I was just like, I sat there on the phone and we had this moment of silence. And I processed what he was saying, and I was like, I was faced with a couple of options. Option one was just to do what he said and see how that went and risk my family, my family's food. And option two was to just ignore him and go away. And so I chose to say yes. So I said, okay, Chris, I'll do that. So then he gave me the script. He said, you need to call every single one of them and say, listen, thank you so much for your patronage. Thank you so much for your loyalty. Unfortunately, I'm really just trying to run a profitable business. And so to do so, I have to raise my rates. And it's not a small raise. It's a pretty significant bump. And here's the rates. I think I was asking for $100 an hour. And if you can't meet me here on a consistent monthly basis, I'm going to have to say goodbye. And it's a tearful thing, and I really appreciate your business, yada, yada, yada. And so I made 53 phone calls the next day.
Let's just pause here and think about this. I think this is so brave of you, and I think most people are like, yeah, I'm looking for advice. Yeah, people are reaching to me in emails as well, and they're like, mm-hmm. I'm looking for a mentor and this and that. But when you actually tell them what to do, 99% of the people do not take action. Because taking action is so hard and so stressful and so scary. Yeah. You did it.
Yeah. And at this point, my wife and I wanted to have kids, so there was a lot at stake. We had just moved to a new town. So I made 53 phone calls that day. 10, 20, 30, 40 people decided to leave. I started panicking. I get to my best clients. I save the best for last. And after that day, after those 53 phone calls, 2 decided to stay. And out of those 2, maybe it was 3, out of those 2 or 3 clients that stayed, I ended up grossing more the next month from those ones than I did from all the other ones combined. And so at that point, I was like, Chris, man, you just tell me what to do. I'll do anything. I'm good, man.
Skip forward a couple of years. He runs an agency.
Yeah, so
Chris buys his agency. And the guy is now charging like, well, it was like what you were telling me about the strategy day for the university.
oh yeah. So we just did a strategy engagement at 85,000 for one day.
$85,000 for one day of.
Yeah.
I think this is the most impressive story that I've heard in like years. And it's like, kudos to you, bro.
Thank you.
Like,
Absolutely.
amazing work, amazing process, amazing growth. Like, there's so much things to learn here.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, cool. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much for sharing that
Absolutely.
story with us. I'm sure that people are like, if you're inspired, don't be inspired. Go like,
Take action.
yeah, take action.
You gotta do
Yeah.
more.
Inspiration is important, but doing the hard stuff, firing your clients,
Mm-hmm.
raising your rates, starting to learn, to grow, how to sell more value. That's
Be willing to open
Yeah.
the door to the unknown, because the unknown is so scary to a lot of people, and to me as well. It's like when I can't plan or prepare for something, but just to be willing to open that door and step out into the dark, into the black, good things will happen. There's ground out there. You can walk out, and that's the thing. It's just having faith that you're gonna be okay. So, yeah.
Thanks so
go
much,
do.
Ben.
Awesome.
Thanks. Great to meet you, Ben.
Yeah.
All right. What a great story from Ben. It's just been a pleasure meeting so many people here at the Epic Currents in Yosemite today. It's like crazy snowing. Check this out. There's a storm here. I'm gonna go run down and try to get some more interviews from the people that I met here so that I can share their stories with you. So I'll probably upload some more videos in the upcoming days. Until then, hope you guys have a great day. I'll catch you tomorrow.